The following program contains strong language and is not suitable for viewers under 18.
Let's talk about that. It's time we slice through the smoke and mirrors. Things down because of the love and relationship.
What do you want to take away from me? What makes me happy? What makes my passion? Do you understand? What is that going to make you feel more of a man if you let me stop what I'm doing? That's what makes me me.
Role plays and play Tarzan and Jane and swing all over the place, but it's a thing about do we have men who are willing to that? Because again, men just want to play and do the thing, and 2 minutes later.
It might take two to tango, but you always need somebody to take the lead, right? Somebody has to be the more controlling one, the more dominant one, the submissive one, the one that allows the other one or pretends to allow the other one to be more in control. We're talking about dominance today on Love Lounge, and I hope you're going to join in by tweeting or sending us messages on Facebook. Welcome to Love Lounge this week. I have with me the delectable Layale and Joshua. We're about to stir things up because we're talking about dominance. Now let's start immediately with the idea of somebody being in your life that you care about, but because for the sake of balance in this relationship, somebody has to be more dominant and somebody has to be more submissive. Is this something you agree with, Layale?
Well, for me, I think you cannot have two masters in a ship. So one person always has to be at the forefront of almost everything. But I mean, it depends on what you term. Dominance is relative. Some men just want to lord it over their women that, look, I'm the man, I'm the head of this relationship, I'm the head of this home, and it can have a very detrimental effect on the woman. So it basically depends on how, it is handled in the relationship, yes.
Is the more dominant party always the more vocal in the relationship?
Not necessarily. I do think in a relationship it's good to have, like you rightly said, some direction. And dominance is different from control, I like to believe. It's one thing to be dominant in a relationship, as in, we make the decisions, but okay, this is where we're going and whatnot, but which is very different from control, because control is, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, and it's something that's absolutely different.
But the idea of even being dominant in itself means that you're the one whose opinion, whose thoughts, and, you're the one who everyone has to agree with in the house.
Well, that's kind of almost like...
Is it more totalitarian, being dominant?
It's borderline totalitarian, and I do think sometimes it's almost manipulation if everyone has to agree with you. Dominance, from a guy's perspective, could just be, okay, this is where we're going as a family or as a relationship. This is our plan. This is what we're doing. And okay, do you know what? We can't do this now. We can't do this here. But what do you think? Exactly. Dominance is not necessarily I'm controlling everything.
All my opinion and all my rules and all my ideas and all everything, all of what I want. Do you understand? Because you always have to ask the other party, what do you think about this?
Absolutely.
What are your own views? What are your own ideas? Do you understand? So basically, it should be balanced. Do you get?
But I do believe that, in this culture, sorry, hope I didn't cut you off.
No, carry on.
I do believe that in this society and community, well, with this part of the world that we live in, it's a good thing for a man to have a good, strong voice in a relationship.
Come again?
It's a good thing for a man to have a good, strong voice in a relationship. Absolutely.
Strong voice in what sense?
As in the sense that, as a man, okay, for example, when I got in a relationship, we were all lovey-dovey, yada yada at first, but then when you got past the fluttery stage, my woman said to me, so what's your plan for us? And whoa, I'm not gonna lie to you, that kind of just sent shock down my spine. Like, yo, dude, you need to come correct, get it together, stop doing all this lovey-dovey. Like, come correct. What is your plan?
You can be lovey-dovey and also have a plan. And asking for your plan in the relationship just means, what is it that you want to do, so I can tell you what I want to do, and how can we then compromise or do it together. It doesn't mean she wants you to be more dominant.
No, not in the sense of dominance or dominating, but she's like, look, you're the man, you take the lead, I follow your lead. Do you know what I'm saying? So in my respect, for me as a man, that was a wake-up call, like, okay, because we were still going through the phases of, oh my gosh, I like you, you like me, and it was just that, but after a while, I believe that wears off. And then we get to the nitty-gritty part of the relationship. And so to hear from a woman, okay, you're the man, you take the lead, I follow, what is your plan for us? For me, that woke me up. in the sense that it made me realize that, okay, cool, this thing is not just a joke thing. We're not just in this for the play, and it's something real. So I do believe as a man, dominance in a relationship is not control, it's not enforcing your will, but it's having a plan and being able to rightly and clearly communicate that with your partner.
Okay, we're going to get more into the nitty-gritty of this. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Love Lounge. Now, Joshua said something just before the break, which I need to get into later. But I really want to hear your thoughts, Layale. Like, do you think that in a relationship, certain people should take charge of certain things? Are there certain things that the man should be more, lord his more dominant opinion on, and then the woman should have certain control in other aspects of the relationship? Or is there ever a way to split it down the line 50-50 in a relationship?
I think there should always be balance in a relationship.
How do you do that?
There should always be, because, I always tell people that when you go into a relationship or you're about to get married, you should be careful, know the individual properly.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you know that, see, this guy is going to be me, and we're going to make decisions together.
Yeah.
So you should be sure of who you're going into this relationship or who you're going into this marriage with. Do you understand? There are guys, I think that we are all very exposed, and I think roles have really changed. Do you get? These days, I get a lot of guys say, look, I cook. There's no big deal, I take care of the kids. I know that society still frowns at, like there was a picture that came up on Instagram. I think a guy held a baby or backed a baby, and everyone was shocked. There was a debate about the role of a man and the role of a woman, and I'm like, are we still there? Do you understand? And what made me so happy was the fact that some men came out and said that, look, it's okay for a man to take care of a baby. It's okay. So I think we've gotten to the point where we're very exposed. Well, 50% of Nigerians are very exposed. And I don't think there's a definite role for a woman and a definite... women, you have a lot of women who are breadwinners these days. Yeah. Do you understand? You have a lot of women who will say, you know what, you don't have to do everything at home. Bring your money, I'll bring my money, and then let's do this together. Absolutely. Even with, with a harsh economic situation, you people have to do stuff together.
Absolutely.
And there are men who cook and enjoy cooking. Mm-hmm. There are men who, take care of kids and enjoy it, So I don't think there should be specific roles for partners in relationships or marriage.
Joshua, do you think that without clearly defined roles, when there's no specific roles for each partner in the relationship, there could be confusion or lack of direction in the relationship?
To a certain extent, yes. However, I do believe that roles are so subjective these days, like she rightly said. And I think, when you look back into the history of relationships, up in our father's generation, women had the particular roles, which was very domestic. But we live in a very changed society whereby now domestics and all these minor things that it doesn't define the relationship anymore. You know what I'm saying? And it's a thing whereby, you see, I do believe that our parents were the generations that dreamed the dreams. Our generation, we actually live and our dreams. Two separate things, which simply means that living your dream is not necessarily just a male thing. It's both male and female, which simply means that we can have our roles, reversed and moved around, but as long as there's an understanding within the relationship.
So let's talk about it in practical terms now. You're in a relationship and you're now living together. Whether you're married or not, it doesn't really matter. You're physically together.
Right.
Who should be paying the rent?
The man.
Layale.
The man.
Who should be... No. Quick fire round. Quick fire round. Who should be paying for rent? You both say the man.
Yeah.
Who should be buying diesel in the gen?
The man.
The man.
Who should be putting petrol in the car?
The man.
How many cars should you have?
2.
Who should be paying for the servicing of the car?
The man.
And you still think? Okay. Who should be cooking the food in the house?
Both.
Actually,
Both.
in this day and
Who
age,
should be paying for, like, if you have people to help you in the house, like maybe the cook or the cleaner and that kind of thing, who should be paying their salaries?
Both.
You said the woman, Joshua.
I think the woman should. Anything to do with not to sound chauvinistic.
No. Don't explain yourself yet. Quick fire round.
Both.
School fees, if you have kids, who should be paying for that?
Both.
Who should be paying for things like clothes?
Both.
Holidays.
Man.
Joshua, you haven't answered the last two.
Both of men. Actually, both on both of them. Especially if you're in a relationship, going on holiday. Okay, the man.
If you're in a relationship and you're going on dates,
relationship or married?
Relationship at this point. If you're in a relationship and people try to do things like date nights weekly or whatever it is, who should be paying for the day? If you're at the restaurants, for instance, who should be paying for that?
Honestly, I'd say both.
every single week? Go Dutch,
Alternate.
or you pay one
You can
week and the other
alternate.
person?
Alternate, or you can just split. Okay,
I think you can alternate.
you can alternate.
But,
In this day and age,
but the man most of the time.
But you realize that with what we've said so far, it sounds like you want the man to pay
the
each
thing is
time.
this, the fact of the matter is this, yeah, especially when things become extremely technical in a relationship. We all know for men to be very manly, and like me personally, one of my biggest pride in life is my toolbox. I'm a handyman. So men are designed to be more manly and handle things around the house. Like you're not gonna ask your wife, "Oh, babe, go and fix the gen." Like, whoa.
You're shaking your head like you don't agree, just yeah.
Absolutely. I think the technical things, the manly, the masculine things, the man should take charge of that. This all
But I mean,
idea.
if your wife can handle it, why not?
Yeah, but
You're watching, we're gonna be right back.
No.
We're gonna be
If
right
you want to
back,
go and
guys.
fix generator, go.
I have a very quick Twitter message to read, and then we'll get back into the argument we're having just then. Okay, so this one is from Shay Sexy, who says, my boyfriend gets very angry whenever I bring up switching roles in our relationship. I feel he's not romantic enough. What do you think, guys?
Wow.
Roles in what sense?
Exactly.
I'm guessing like the quick fire round we had earlier about, okay, you're the one that should bring in the bacon, you're the one who should bring the chicken, cook in the kitchen, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it depends on the circumstance of the relationship. Like, if a guy is sufficient enough to provide, then let him be a man. Sometimes I say to women this generation, like, don't let them give a man room to be a man. Some of us, we validate our masculinity.
What is a man? When you say give a man room to be a
It's
man,
like
what
if
is...
a man feels like we've been raised as providers. All right, it's our role to provide for the family, for the relationship, and sometimes you got to give us room to be a man. Some of us we
Very quickly,
validate.
as a woman, do you feel like you should be a provider as well?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
if you feel like you should be a provider,
Yeah.
and Lyerly feels like she too should be a provider, where is the point in the relationship where
There's
both
gonna be a
providers
balance.
are able to do that without butting heads?
There's always going to be a balance. The most important thing is an understanding between both parties, and
communication.
communication
Very key.
and understanding. If I understand that, okay. One thing about us men is this: we thrive on being needed. Literally, I know that my woman needs me for. Not like the technical things of me being like, I know that functions, that makes me validate myself. But we thrive on these things, and we validate ourselves by being able to actually do our job. Like, I know I can provide for a woman.
I know,
what I'm saying?
Orica, for me, I want to be successful, that's why I'm working very hard and hustling every day, do you understand? And I become really successful. I mean, what am I going to do without all of that money if I'm not going to be able to help my husband at home, you know?
So are you being successful or working hard for yourself, or so that you can support your man
I'm
in
being
the future?
successful for myself, but I
Okay.
mean, if I now meet a guy that I like and we get married and I have all of that money, why would I keep it to myself?
But then what if you're successful, you meet a guy, and then he says, I love who you are, you're ambitious, you've achieved so much, I want to marry you, I want us to have a long-term relationship, and the only condition is you have to drop all the things you've done so far.
No way.
Do you know,
You have to stop being that CEO.
No
you have to
way,
stop being that woman who owns
that's
her
a
own
no-no
clothing
for
line.
me. No, that's a no-no
do you know
for
the funny
me.
thing is,
Because why do you want to take away from me what
The
makes
things I
me
do,
happy?
yeah.
What makes my passion? Do you understand? What is that going to make you feel more of a man if you let me stop what I'm doing? That's what makes me me. That's what I love. So I'd rather not be in that relationship than, I'd rather be me and not be in that. Accept me for who I am. It's like telling you not to do that job because I want to be in a relationship with you and I love you and all of that. But you know what? You have to quit that job and take another job. No.
Joshua, I have a question now regarding what Lyerly just said.
Go for it.
If you are in a relationship with somebody who then says to Lyerly, for instance, you're such a go-getter, you've achieved all these other things, I really like you for who you are, I want to be with you. Drop all these other things. Lyerly then says, well, that's not me, that's not who you met. And the guy says, you know what, let's carry on this relationship anyway. Do you think that sometimes it causes some kind of resentment that leads to some kind of abuse, whether physical or emotional, because this man is trying to establish his own dominance still, even though Lyerly, quote unquote, isn't submitting, he's going to try and make her submit in other ways?
Yeah. I think it can cause resentment on both parts, as in the sense that if she was to quit and go and quit everything and go be a housewife, she would resent him for that.
True.
And if in the case whereby she doesn't quit and she keeps working, he would start to resent her for not being submissive. However, the thing for me is a compromise on both parties. Understand that this woman has worked so hard, it would be unfair to remove her from the thing she's built. Yes, okay, maybe she doesn't have to work as much as she used to. You know what I'm saying? So I believe it comes back down to the compromise. There must be a compromise on the table. If she works 7 days a week and compromises, okay, babe, this is what I can't walk away from my job. I can't be anything, but you know what? I'll cut it down to 3 or 4 days a week.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
That you
I
will cut
do,
it down
yeah,
from
because
7 days to
compromise.
3?
No, not to 3, but from 7 to probably 5 or 4. Do you understand?
there's a
Because I
compromise.
understand that I have a family now.
Yeah.
I love who I'm with. I love my kids.
And
Do you understand?
yeah.
So I can still have a balance. I can still be with my family, take care of my family, but still do what I want to
Absolutely.
do. But don't tell me to stop it because you are in love with me and you want to be with
To be
me.
quite
That's
honest
a
here,
no-no.
love should never control to the extent whereby you cause someone to leave who they are. Love should cause you to flourish.
Because-
and if you flourish with your job, bro, okay, yes, we need to build a family as well. We have to make room for that. But it will be selfish of me to say, stop what you're doing because of me. No, that's not cool.
And then I think a lot of African men need to get to the point where they can handle a successful woman. Quite a number of men think they can, but they can't.
Is there an age factor in this? Do you think that men of a certain age, either younger or older, are more likely to be willing to accept the success of their women?
No, I don't think so.
I personally,
I don't think so. I think it's
would
men
have
of all
thought
ages having that issue
complex.
with being, with the successful. No matter how submissive she is, no matter how, respectful she is, men still cannot handle the successful woman.
I beg to differ. Like, on a serious note, I do believe that it comes back down to the individual. Which I'm saying, some men, maybe because of the part of the world I come from, but some men actually, they find it quite cool that their women are earning more than them. Some, keyword, some. They find it quite interesting that the women are actually earning more than them, are very successful. To them, they see as a thing of pride.
However, these men,
however,
are not many, Josh. Trust me.
I never said I was one of them.
Are these men the same kind of men who are likely to be cockholded in a relationship?
When you define cockholders.
You should look this one up on the internet. Mm-hmm. It's not as bad as truffle butter, but cockholders is a thing.
I hope it's not.
It's where, in sexual terms, sometimes there's some relationships where a woman would basically have sex with somebody else, and her husband would be there watching, and he's not allowed to pleasure himself or enjoy it or participate. So it's like you're now showing him that you are nothing. Wow. But it's a kink. It's a kink in itself, and there's a turn on for both of them. It's a certain kind of turn on, and so in the bedroom, the woman is establishing her own. Joshua's face.
Do you know I'm staring at you already?
So the woman is establishing her own dominance in the bedroom, and she's letting the man know as well that you're nothing to me.
That probably doesn't happen much in Africa.
Yes, it doesn't.
Probably doesn't.
Sure. I'm sure about that. Yes.
Because trust me, no one is leaving that room alive. However, I do see where you're coming from. Men who are a bit very much, baby, you can do whatever you want. It's a thing.
Why do you have to use that feminine voice?
Because it's almost like,
baby, I love you. You can do what you want.
Because look, okay, I'm not trying to sound chauvinistic here, but men.
But you are.
You're male chauvinist.
Okay. There's a Facebook message here I want to get into real quick. And it reads as follows. I'm an old school romantic. I believe in helping out with anything to make my family happy. But I'm very worried my significant other doesn't like it when I offer to do dishes or even help. Should I stick to playing my manly role? Or is there a way I can make her understand that, I want to do this? Joshua, are you a dishwasher? Are you a pata water?
Well, considering I live alone, so yes, I wash my own dishes. However, the fact of the matter is, in a relationship, some women lose respect when they see their men doing domestic stuff, and that's the honest truth. Some women, if you see your guy, washing plates or hoovering, you're like, yo, why? They tend to lose respect. Personally, there's nothing wrong with it. It's an hygiene thing. The guy doesn't like dishes around, so he cleans it after he washes by himself. Like, I've been brought up. I'm saying I grew up with a house full of boys. So our mother instilled in us that we had, and it's something that grew up with every single one is moved that we live alone, but it's still something. It's still something that we do.
Just as you said, this really brings a new meaning to different strokes for different folks. I have a friend who is married, and she's complaining to me about her husband always going to the market, coming home to cook and all of that. And I'm like, really? I'm looking for that kind of a husband. Washing, cleaning, cooking.
Wow.
No, I'm just joking. But I mean, I think that's so cool. But she has a problem with it. So
you see,
is that because she feels that maybe her in-laws would judge her that you're not looking after the man, so he's doing all
this. She just doesn't like it.
Exactly, my point. Yeah.
And for me, it's all about about communication. Sit down, let's talk about it. Do you like this? This is why I'm doing this. I want to help you around. And then just talk about it. And life is too short for you to carry grudges and, you know, be angry and upset about certain things. Just talk about it. Okay, this doesn't work for you. I will stop it. As much as I want to do it, I will stop it. Why doesn't it make you happy? Why does it make you upset? Talk about it and then we can move on from there.
I mean, I agree with that, but it's just going to the market.
He does it.
That's not for you, really?
He loves it. He enjoys it. But he wants to do it.
I have stuff brought to the house.
By your mother?
No. Sometimes.
Okay, so let's move on from the dishes and the groceries now. Besides also the sex that we mentioned earlier, are there any other forms of dominance that may exist in a relationship? And which one of those would you say is healthier than the other, if such a thing even exists?
I think the
emotional or whatever, yeah.
I think mental stimulation and emotional okay, let me talk about mental stimulation. I think, you know, it's good to be able to connect mentally. I honestly believe that as partners, as married, we got to be able to connect mentally. And sometimes you look at each other's point of views. And one thing you tend to realize is that at some point in a relationship, you start to influence each other's decisions, mindset. Like before I make a decision, once I understand how my partner thinks, it would influence how I would think. You're saying, and I do. But
then,
that,
sorry to cut you off. But then, does that mean that the thought you're having or the decision you've made, is it your decision?
It's a balanced decision.
Or your partner's decision that you're telling yourself, oh yeah, we agreed on.
It's an informed decision.
Okay.
Informed decision as in the sense that I made this decision based on the information I know about my partner, on how our patterns were. Okay, I know this decision would make sense for us. Now, the thing is this, I do believe that as men, you got to maintain your ground, you know what I'm saying? And we don't know everything. Sometimes we might front like we do. But the fact of the matter is we don't know everything. My father told me one time, you know, sometimes, you know, and when you want to make a decision, when your wife provides you with an information or with a decision, you take it, repackage it, and say, we're going to do this. Even though it's her decision, you make it seem like it's your decision. In my head, I'm like, yo, for real, Dad? Like, really? If the woman's made a decision and you're like, oh, okay, we're going to do it my way, but then you now go and repackage and say, okay, we're now going to do it differently, but it's the same thing she said. It's her decision. Let her have it. That's her victory. I think some women would be, most women would be proud.
And you know what I hear a lot of married women, older married women say that men think they make the decisions, but 70% of the decisions at home are made by women. But women just make them feel they make the decisions.
Because sometimes you let it go because, again, this is what I always say, this ego thing that we struggle with. Sometimes you let a man have it just because you're rubbing his ego. But the fact of the matter is, men, sometimes we don't know what we're doing. But the fact that we have to maintain, society tells us we have to look strong and maintain that we know what we're doing. But this is why it's very important to converse and communicate. Extremely, extremely important.
Okay, so let's take it from the outside now and move it to the more intimate and personal.
Right.
When it comes to you and your partner and the door is shut, who should be the more dominant one? Whose voice should be loudest? Not just in the oohs and ahs, but in the, this is what I like, this is where I like to be touched, this is what I want us to try, let's go 50 Shades of Grey, let me buy whips, whatever it is. Who should be the more impressionable out of the two of the people?
I think it should be balanced. I think it should be balanced. What do you want? What do you enjoy? What do I want? Let's talk about it and then do it together.
Why do you think the woman should be the one?
Because, let's be real, you know, intercourse is about satisfaction. And women have a bigger threshold of satisfaction needed compared to us. Because us men, we just, But women, there's a method to the madness for them, you know? You got to pay attention.
Is there a method to your madness in the bedroom?
She was saying, you know, she's being modest. There's you know, like you at least, like she said, this is how I want to be touched. This is how I want to be tied up, or this is how I want to be choked.
So are you saying that you men don't have desires like that? You don't have a particular way you want to be touched and, you know...
He's a virgin, first of all.
Exactly.
So he doesn't know.
Exactly.
But
are you saying that you
guys
don't want
just
that?
want to get in and get out. Most guys just want to get
gosh.
in. To be honest, I'm being serious. I mean, women like to pay attention, like foreplay. Let's do it. Guys, okay, are we done? Most guys just want to get in there. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the dominant part of it, look, like you rightly said, yes, this is how I would like. This is what it means to learn each other, your desires, your preferences, your do's and don'ts. Just like we discussed the other day, you know, most African men will not mess with you tying them down. God forbid. But most women might want to experiment with that. So again, it comes back down to the preference and respect for your partner.
But
So
you
if
look
you're-
down on a woman if she tells you that she wants this and that and she wants to be adventurous, because some
Absolutely
women
not.
are very, they think that, look, this man will think I'm loose, or this man will think I'm,
Absolutely
you know.
no.
Well, that's you, but I hope majority.
You're right. In Nigeria,
So I
that
think
we
that's
are.
why a lot of women
Most
are
men will probably
expressive.
think, why is she? Because women like to experiment, role plays and play Tarzan and Jane and swing all over the place. But it's a thing. Do we have men who are willing to that? Because again, men just want to get in there, do the thing, and 2 minutes they done. Or some men anyway.
Oh, some men.
Some.
So if you're somebody who's more adventurous on the outside, so you're more dominant, you're more controlling on the outside, when you're in the bedroom, how do you learn to be more receptive and more quiet and more, you know what I mean, like a bit more submissive in the bedroom so that you're listening to your partner?
Because I think Josh, answered this question earlier when he said communication is so key.
So you bring that communication to the bedroom.
Yes, you have to talk about it.
But if it's not in your nature to be, and let's say your partner normally lets you, if you say, shut the door, we're having an argument today, and she shuts the door, he shuts the door, and you argue, not because they want to, because you've said they must. Then when you're now in the bedroom, how do you, because it's not in your nature to listen, how do you then listen to this person?
You role play it, as in the sense that if you're trying to talk to someone and they not listen, as a woman, all right, sorry.
He's acting it out.
If you want to communicate your sexual preferences, don't communicate it as in we're having an argument or we're having a contractual discussion. Okay, this is what I want. No, play it, tease him, whisper in his ears, nibble on his ears, in a way that make sure he's enjoying you telling him that, baby, I want you to choke that.
So you're saying manipulate the situation?
It's not manipulation. It's taking initiative.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's about being creative. Be creative. Honestly, be creative. If a guy is a very dominant guy and he's just one his way, that's the thing that I want y'all to understand about us men. When we're into a woman, you could have your way and still let us be men. Literally. You could have every, because men will front on the outside, but when we're behind closed doors, baby, I'm your baby. Literally. That's probably what we'll front on the outside, like, yeah. But when we're behind closed doors, like, listen, look, how do you want this thing? So, again, you say, let a man be a man. I always say this, give him room to be a man. At the same time, let your preferences be known.
For me, I think as long as the two parties involved in the relationship or marriage or whatever it is are not selfish, and if you put the interest and the desires of the other person first,
absolutely.
I think you're good to go.
It's been so awesome having you two here today.
Can we go on and on and on?
I
about this?
want
I'm
to.
having a great
I
time.
really do.
Absolutely.
Well, sadly, we've run out of time. Please, I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have, as much as we have. Thank you so much for participating and your messages. And do join us again very, very soon on Love Lounge, only on EbonyLife TV.